Welcome to a special edition of Puck Online, bringing you a quick summary of all the major news and events for the public cloud space. This cast is coming to you on YouTube, Spotify and iTunes. Today I'm broadcasting from Vancouver's Stanley Park. The reason for this special edition is the massive number of new announcements which came out of Microsoft Build the other week. Surrounding the event, some online were complaining about there being no hardware, software or Windows announcements. Myself being focused on the cloud for the last 10 years, I guess I would say I haven't paid attention to hardware or Windows announcements for most of those years, because anything I think which has any impact was always tied to cloud anyway. Everything has become software based. Hardware is irrelevant as long as it gets more stable and faster and can run anything I want. I think gone is the days of developers caring so much about hardware or the OS that their software runs on, which is why this dev conference had more of an agnostic story, which is cloud. Not sure about the software not being talked about, since I consider everything that gets announced in the cloud some form of software, whether it's a platform to run or build or support software on. Anyway, I digest. Point is that Build was mostly about cloud, just like Google Next was mostly about cloud and Google I/O was all about the other stuff like Android. So what was announced? Let's get into it. Okay, so Linux on Windows. For those who are dying to hear some cool Windows news, full Linux, not just the emulated, is coming to Windows OS next month for testing. Linux is already sort of on Windows 10 with Windows Subsystem for Linux, WSL, allowing for bash commands and other Linux tricks. But WSL 2 will actually have the full Linux kernel, not an emulation, providing all the current features of WSL. Plus much more. It's pretty cool. And again, I think this has a big story around cloud, especially with Linux being the most popular OS on Azure. Project Brainwave. Microsoft is making generally available the previously announced hardware-accelerated models running on its field programmable gate arrays that are available in Azure. Microsoft Project Brainwave, its project to use FPGAs to provide fast AI processing in Azure, will enter preview. For machine learning, Microsoft is adding ONNX runtime support for NVIDIA TensorRT and Intel nGraph for high-speed inferencing on NVIDIA and Intel processors. Microsoft is adding new features to its Azure machine learning service to help developers more easily make high-quality models and to take a no-code approach to model creation and deployment using a new visual machine learning interface. Microsoft wants to help you build custom bots and assistants with this no-code approach. Microsoft and Redhat collaborated to build a lightweight, event-driven scaling extension to Kubernetes. The Kida extension can run on any Kubernetes environment to scale in and scale out workloads based on external parameters, such as the number of messages in a queue. Kida project is available on GitHub now. Azure IoT Edge integration with Kubernetes. Microsoft has extended the Azure IoT Edge runtime to Kubernetes. Customers with an existing on-premise Kubernetes cluster can deploy and manage the Edge runtime through native Kubernetes primitives. New IoT Edge modules deployed through the standard IoT Hub workflow may also run on Kubernetes. This mechanism delivers resiliency and higher availability to edge computing models, packaged and deployed as containers. With tight integration between GitHub and Kubernetes, Microsoft is making it easy to build CI and CD workflows to deploy cloud-native applications through Azure Pipelines. It automates everything from creating container images, packaging them, and Helm charts, generating Kubernetes deployment artifacts, and deploying the workload. This service can be used to target any Kubernetes environment, including AKS, EKS, or GKE, for deploying cloud-native applications. The SQL engine can now run at the edge. Azure SQL Database Edge is packaged as a container that can be deployed on devices based on ARM or x86 architecture. The database engine has been enhanced to support streams and time series data. The database module can be easily integrated with Microsoft's own Edge modules or third-party modules available in the Azure Marketplace. This database technology is currently in private preview. Azure SQL Database Serverless offers the power of SQL Server Engine through an innovative billing model based on a per-second pricing. The billing for compute is based on the number of virtual CPU cores used and the memory used per second. When the database instance is paused, customers are only charged for the storage. Customers can define the idle time window to pause the database automatically. The service resumes as soon as there is a login activity detected. According to Microsoft, IoT Plug and Play offers a new open modeling language to connect IoT devices to the cloud seamlessly. With IoT Plug and Play, developers can connect IoT devices to the cloud without having to write a single line of embedded code. Devices listed in the Azure IoT device catalog can be automatically registered to the Azure IoT platform without writing explicit code. Devices manufacturers expose to the capability model as a JSON file that can be used to connect to the Azure IoT. The original Azure Machine Learning Studio is now integrated with Azure ML Services. Customers can launch the Visual Designer as a part of the workspace and leverage the assets like datasets and compute targets to train models. The Visual Canvas joins notebooks and the Python SDK of Azure ML Services as a no-code option to build ML models. Microsoft is bringing the best of DevOps processes to managing machine learning models. Based on the popular GitOps workflow, MLOps empowers data scientists and app developers to help bring ML models to production. It enables teams to track, version, audit, certify, and reuse every asset in the ML lifecycle and provides orchestration services to streamline managing its lifecycle. The framework takes advantage of a variety of Azure services, including storage, ML services, Kubernetes, DevOps, and more. And a build conference wouldn't be complete without talking about Visual Studio. In April, Microsoft launched Visual Studio 2019 for Windows and Mac. Two notable features were Visual Studio Live Share, a real-time collaboration tool included with Visual Studio 2019, and Visual Studio IntelliCode, an extension offering AI-assisted code completion. At Build, Microsoft previewed new Visual Studio features for remote work. Microsoft is experimenting with features that let developers work from anywhere on any device. The company announced a private preview of 3 such new capabilities: remote-powered developer tools, cloud-hosted developer environments, and a browser-based web companion tool. If the future of the work is remote, Microsoft wants to be ready for it. ML.NET, the machine learning framework for .NET developers, has reached a significant milestone. It is now ready to be used in production workloads. ML.NET is a free, cross-platform and open-source machine learning framework designed to bring the power of machine learning into .NET applications. ML.NET allows developers to train, build, and ship custom machine learning models using C# and F# for scenarios such as segment analysis, issue classification, forecasting, recommendations, and more. Microsoft also announced that it is skipping .NET 4 to avoid confusion with the .NET framework, which has been on the version 4 for years. Going forward, developers will be able to use .NET to target Windows, Linux, macOS, iOS, Android, tvOS, watchOS, WebAssembly, and more. .NET Core 3 will be succeeded by .NET 5, featuring new .NET APIs, runtime capabilities, and language features. The timeline for releases sees November 2020 will see GA of .NET 5. 2021 in November we'll see .NET 6, and then every November of the year after we'll see full versions, with the long-term support coming for versions with even numbers. Azure Cognitive Services got a significant update at Build. Personalizer is a cognitive service that is built on reinforcement learning and prioritizes relevant content and experiences for each user, improving app usability and engagement. Microsoft's very own Xbox drove a 40% lift in user engagement on its home screen as a result of using Personalizer. The new ink recognizer service enables developers to combine the benefits of physical pen and paper with the best of the digital by embedding digital ink recognition capabilities into apps. So Cortana gets conversational. As digital assistants currently exist, interacting with them can be relatively rigid, requiring specific phrases and commands to invoke an action one by one. Microsoft is looking to break that paradigm by integrating Cortana with new conversational AI tech. The result, Microsoft says, will be more natural interactions with Cortana. The digital assistant will be able to follow context of conversation while handling multiple queries and skills at the same time. If it works as advertised, the flow of interacting with Cortana will feel like talking to another person, following the conversation through multiple turns. And Command Line gets a breath of life. A new terminal app for Command Line users called Windows Terminal is coming very soon. with multiple new features. It offers a rich user interface theme, allowing users to customize their experiences. If you're a PowerShell, Windows subsystem for Linux, or CMD user, you'll appreciate the new Windows Terminal. The new Windows Terminal will be available this June and will feature tab support, which is something that was confirmed to be in the works a few weeks ago. So that's all the time we have to go through for the Build Conference announcements. For links to our videos, podcasts and blogs, go to www.publiccloud.ninja. For upcoming cloud events in Vancouver, check out www.meetup.com/publiccloud. And shortly you should see an announcement for our June 4th event that we'll be focusing on architecture and security for around cloud. This episode was made possible by Scalar Decisions, a leading Canadian IT solution provider focused on security, infrastructure, and cloud. If you think we've missed anything, let us know in the comments section. Our next episode will be in a month's time, so make sure you subscribe to get alerts. Till then, keep challenging yourself.